Hey, everybody. Oops. Got my pen. Hi, everybody. Oh, is it Sunday already? Wow. Let's do a little plazzing here. Zazoo Plazz. My new dining chairs. Kind of like a fake leather kind of thing. I have one over there. I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can show. Can I show? There's one over there. Of course, there's a story, but happy Father's Day to all the dads. June 16th, 2024. Inside, because it's buggy and it's hot out. It's not hot, but you know, it got to be too late. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and you know, I did outside last week, and I did a. Oh, jeez. The ex-hubby is messaging me because it's Father's Day, and he's anyway, he's got this new thing. I have to say, because it's Father's Day and he's the dad. He texted me. His phone has this feature, this AI feature, where it can, and this is going to tie in. So pay attention. He can set his text language to just about anything. So he's got it set on Shakespeare right now. So he texted me, all these and thous and, forsooth and ear, thou and, So he thinks it annoys me, so he keeps doing it. At first it was like, what the heck? So now he's probably gonna, try something else. But it ties in. It's funny. When it's coming up, I realize it's coming up on 30 years since we met. My former spouse and I, we had the kids in 2000, 2003. We met in 94. And I just realized, it just seems like yesterday. I don't know if any other Gen Xers out there feel this, but it just kind of hits you that it feels like, maybe 10 years ago, it's like 2000, I stopped keeping track. I fell into this, the mommy years. And for some reason, I lost 20 years of my life. And now I'm like, I feel like I'm back in my single apartment, like when I met my husband, was working in financial planning and for a variety of places, and just was with the JC's, this service organization that is mostly defunct now, I think. But it's, it's how I used to go and meet people socially and for my business, because I sold insurance and other, products. I didn't expect to get on this tangent, but it kind of, so when I met him, anyway, that's another story for another day. One of many. But since I met him, he used to show off by saying that, he had memorized in high school the speech from Romeo and Juliet. They had to memorize it in high school in the 80s. And he just knew it, and he would rattle it off, the Romeo and Juliet thing, which, was pretty cool. But see, kids, back, you younger ones, back in the day, we had to memorize stuff like that. Like the Conjunction Junction, Schoolhouse Rock. That's why all of us knew that. We had to memorize everything. And it kind of, certain things just kind of stuck in your head. To this day, in our 50s, we still remember these things. So that's kind of cool. The boys, my two sons and I, the older one and I, we took, his father out to the 99 for a nice dinner last night. And the other one, the younger one, he's been at firefighter training camp out in the woods, because he's going to work with the state DEP. They send them all over the place to fight wildfires and forest fires and do controlled burns and things like that. So he's going to actually get paid to do that. And he might have to go to Canada, and he has to get special equipment and, special boots. He said up in Canada he has to get steel-toed boots, but he doesn't need them in the U.S. So I'm learning so much about all this stuff through him. So we finished I had a nice salad, a strawberry chicken salad. So we had our dinner and caught up with the older one, who is off to Europe. He's going to find out if he got into this program that he applied for at work. And so he's off to Europe with his girlfriend. And she goes to Yale. She's into art and this and that. So they're going to go to Europe, to London, and see museums and, have a great time. I think it's great. It's awesome. He's having a great time. He's having a good year because he's a dragon. Year of the dragon. It's year of the wood dragon. So, he's having a wonderful year. So we caught up on all these things. And then the younger one comes in, they're almost on fire, just with enthusiasm. I said, it's awesome. It's contagious. It's just like he's full of stories and full of things that he learned and people he met. That's what I'm going for with my stuff. As a mom, I kind of, I'm bubbling over with the things I'm doing, but they don't necessarily share mom's enthusiasm for mom's little projects here. Probably because they're the subject of it, a lot of it. Anyway, so I kind of take a back seat sometimes when I'm with them, and but I called my dad today and we had a nice chat. Sent him an e-card with a gift card, and he's going to go buy vitamins or something with it. He's bought himself a nice steak and some potatoes. He's going to cook that up. Dad's having a good day. So, it's quite different from when, the dads were my father-in-law. He's not with us anymore. And, it was different back when the kids were little. We used to have everybody over and do all the dads at once, and the moms, would come. We used to do a nice cookout on Father's Day back when the kids were growing up. But, things change. So, it's a day to think about. I think about my grandfathers and all the father figures, especially my dad, of course, and I'm blessed to have him with me still. He's excited like that about his music. So, he always played the saxophone, he plays the clarinet, plays the fiddle with the French guys, the old French guys. They play their fiddles, and he's into that. But yeah, my dad, cultivated in me an interest in music, all kinds of music. And, it's funny that the Bible readings today, there's this theme about somebody who goes into the field and, sows the seed, or taking a shoot from a tree in Ezekiel, Old Testament, who's really supposed to be Jesus, a shoot from this cedar tree, and placing it on top of the mountain. The lowly becomes the greatest, and the greatest becomes the lowly, But having the shoot, and then birds dwelling in it and providing shade, and that's a metaphor, I think, because the Bible is full of metaphor. And so that's kind of, when you think about, Jesus, the descendants, he comes from this shoot, from the family of David, and then, became this, this shelter, this tree, that, is, provides this, the kingdom of God, the place where you can dwell and live and, have shade, have protection, right? So there's kind of like this, that's kind of like dads, right? That's what dads do. They give you they provide you shelter. They show you how to live. They teach us how to live, dads. If you had a dad like mine, he was obsessed with plants. He said he saw some deer in his yard, and his reaction, mine would be, how magical. My dad sees deer in his yard. He goes out and he finds them nibbling on his bushes on the patio. He's like, oh, that's why my plants have been stunted, because the deer have been eating them. I'm like, Dad, you missed the whole point. But at 87, he's not going to change. So anyway, but you know, for me, it's magical. So like last night, I digress, but I did a little shopping after I had dinner with the guys. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go treat myself to a raspberry sherbet cone. Usually I get them at McDonald's ones, but I said, you know, it's kind of a special day. So I went, I got a raspberry sherbet cone, and I'm eating it in my car, you know, in the Friendly's parking lot with the little cup, because I like sherbet. I haven't had one, you know, I don't get dessert that often. And I'm sitting in the car, and this opossum comes out of the woods from behind a shed somewhere, starts waddling along, sees me, and is, you know, look indignant as if I was in his spot or something. Like he's, you know, he's coming out to forage in the dumpster or something, and I'm in his spot. And he comes right up to me, and he just looks at me, and he goes into the car, and then he waddles back into the woods and disappears. Like, what? Because I'm always having that happen to me. Animals just kind of cross my path, and there's some spiritual thing, you know, possum. Anyway, yeah, like the tree and protection. I think it's some kind of a spiritual thing to, you know, just watch out. Strange possums wandering into your path. But yeah, so there's this psalm about giving thanks to God, the just ones flourishing like palm trees and bearing fruit in your old age, you know, sturdy. So if you, you know, place the rock of your, you know, your foundation in God, right? Then you'll flourish. Right? If your attention is in giving gratitude to God and realizing that that's where good things come from in your life, then you'll have more, you know. And you know, that's how my dad brought me up, because he's always been had that strong Catholic faith, and you know, yeah. And then let's see, Paul the Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. We'd rather go home to the Lord, so we must be courageous to walk by faith, right? This all comes, you know, together. That's kind of, you know, this is like what my dad taught me. He would always say to not dwell in too far in the future, that, you know, live one day at a time, and the future takes care of itself. And he's still living that way. I think that's, you know, that's something that's good advice. My dads are full of good advice. Well, some of them are, but mine is. So, you know, I think about things like that. And, you know, appreciating, of course, appreciating our dads and our moms, you know, while we still have them. It's very important, but not doing it out of a sense of guilt or a sense of, oh, someday he's not going to be here. You know, on the one hand, I just, you know, enjoy every conversation with my dad, and things come up from the past, you know, things that I've never had a chance to ask him, things that, you know, went down when my mom was around, and it's just a different relationship. Once you lose one parent, the remaining parent, you know, you can have a different relationship with, and then as you grow up, you know, you have a richer, I think, relationship with your parent. It's different. You know, once you work on yourself, then you can, you know, reap the rewards of, you know, being an adult, and, you know, just not depending on your parents, but rather, you know, enjoying them and learning, continuing to enjoy their company and appreciate them, and not letting what they say dictate how you live your life, but giving them the joy of seeing you flourish into the person that you're meant to be, you know. And they can see you being happy and fulfilled. And that, I think, as a parent is, one of the best things to see I see my kids, living their lives and being fulfilled and happy at 21 and 23, and it makes me happy. So I think God feels that way about us. That's how I think. So yeah, we'll get to the song, Zazoo. Okay. What's the song? All right. Yeah, so we get the Romeo and Juliet theme. One word, cowbell. You guessed it, right? Blue Oyster Cult. When I say cowbell, everybody knows. Well, my generation, right? Don't fear the reaper. No, it's the reaper. Don't fear in parentheses. 1976, Blue Oyster Cult. I was 10, 11 when it came out. And I remember it kind of being a very dark, hypnotic kind of song. When I heard it as a kid, used to play it on the classic radio station, and you could hear the cowbell, but it didn't become as big of a thing until SNL did the skit in 2000 with Christopher Walken as this fictional radio, producer, Bruce Dickinson or something, and it was just hilarious. I'm going to put a clip if you're not familiar, but I think most of us Gen Xers know about the cowbell thing. When I ran the half marathon with my friend a few years ago before she passed, it was like 2015. The Hartford Marathon Foundation gave out cowbells, with the logo on there, to all the spectators, right? So the next year, first year I ran with her, and then she got sick. So the next year, she and her husband stood at the finish line as I was coming in, and they're ringing the cowbells. Come on, Leslie, come on. Right as I made my way into the arches, down through the arches at the Soldiers and Sailors Arch in Hartford. So that when I think cowbell, I think the SNL skit, and I think of her with the cowbell. And yeah. And then we hung it on the Christmas tree. So that was kind of cool. But so yeah, don't fear the reaper, because Mark's gospel said something about the seed being sown, and then someone wielding a sickle at the harvest. It's like, say wheat is growing or something, they take that sickle, that the thing that the Grim Reaper has. Kind of one of my puns this week was that. It's like a curved thing that they could whack the wheat down with, right? I'm not a farmer, so I don't know if I got that right, but I think it's a farming implement. It's the harvest, meaning the harvest of your life. As you go into your harvest years, that you're older, the last part of your life. So, a parent, here's the story. This guy, Buck Dharma, his name was really Don Roser, wrote the song. So when he was 22, he had some kind of heart ailment, and he was afraid he was going to die young. So he wrote this song, and wrote the little thing about Romeo and Juliet. He didn't mean it to be, taken literally, like couples should be like Romeo and Juliet and do what they did. But he said it's in, not literally, but that couples could fly away to this sort of fiction, this other place where they can meet. Not necessarily through death, but sometimes if one person died, the other person could go somewhere and meet them or something, which is kind of interesting. So what happened was they've made peace with the cowbell. I'm going to post some articles, research that I did. Yeah. So the cowbell came in because, you know, they thought it was a kind of a dark sound, and there was shag carpet is in the 70s in the recording studio, which deadened the sound. So they covered this cowbell in like gaffer tape, and they hit it, you know, with a mallet to lift the groove, you know. But then when it played on the radio, you could hear the cowbell. Like the sound was really compressed, so you could really hear it. So, yeah, so that's why, you know, they put, and I guess Sting actually they sort of, it wasn't a big thing, but he took the Police Message in a Bottle song, has a little sampling of the melody of this song, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to me that the video I saw with all the skeletons dancing, I think I'm gonna put like a concert. There's a concert performance of them doing it, and then somebody did another video with like, you know, visual video of different things, which is cool. Skeletons dancing, and it reminds me of my birthday, which is technically November 2nd, the Day of the Dead. So I write about this in Zazoo Plazz extensively. This whole concept of, you know, death being part of life, and it's always been an interest of mine. Rather than scaring me, it's actually kind of comforting. And I love those sugar skulls and the whole, you know, the Mexican thing, because they do the Day of the Dead on that day, Day of All Souls. Yeah, so I love that time of year, the harvest. You know, my father-in-law was also a Scorpio, and you know, we Scorpios, we like the fall. We like that time of year. I love the dead leaves. I don't know what to do with myself this time of year. It's too bright, too leafy, too buggy. You know, I'd rather just kind of hibernate, come out in September, or, you know, October. But, you know, I flow through the seasons. I realize that there's some seasons, you know, I'm gonna like better, and I think the best season of my life is now and to come. You know, I think every day is a chance to improve, to know myself better, you know, to have better relationships, to have good fortune and abundance in all areas. So it's funny that I could have, when you have comfort with the way, the flow of life is what I think the song means. You let go of your need to hold on, you know, fearing the reaper, you know. If you live your life afraid to die, then you're dead already because you're not living, right? So, you know, and you hear people talk about this. People like the guy who wrote the song, who think that they're going to have a shorter life. They've got to soak every moment up, right? They've got to live to the fullest. And it's ironic that some of the people who, you know, end up living the longest, they retire and they act like they're already, you know, out to pasture. I mean, come on. As long as you draw a breath, you can do something, you know, make a difference. That's kind of my message. It's kind of what I get out of the song. Yeah, I never thought that this song it didn't affect me that way, you know. I prefer songs that have depth to songs that are overly sweet and saccharine and sort of fake, you know. I'd rather have a song that gets really down in there, because that's what I like to do. I like things that are real, you know. I found this top. It's a kind of a gauzy material. I had something like this when I was 6 years old for my first grade photo. Of course, I had pigtails with yarn. I'll see if I can find the photo. But I saw this top and I said, oh my God, this is like my 6-year-old self. We used to wear gypsy kind of things. Us, we girls back then. Yeah, so just parables. I think it's interesting, how the Bible is just full of parables and stories, and because Jesus said, he didn't, when he spoke to people, he spoke in parables, and the real meaning behind them he saved for his disciples. So I think that's kind of interesting, because I sort of feel like when I put things out here, not everybody understands what I'm talking about, So I channel and tell little stories in Zazoo Plazz. They're not in chronological order, because that's not how the universe works, My stories jump all over the place. It's not a memoir like from, the stories jump around. And I think people who are, unfamiliar with that type of writing would be thrown sometimes when they read my book. But that's a good thing. If I disturbed your way of thinking and made you see things in a new way, good. I'm glad, because that's what I'm about. I see things in a different way, and I don't have control of where it's going to end up. But if a little bell goes off in your head when you're listening to me talk, or you're reading one of my stories, or you're on my Facebook page, yeah, that's good. Then I've done something to help somebody. And I don't always, I had to let go of needing to know, how I was doing. If it was landing, is the seed landing on fertile ground? I had to just take it on faith. I've been out here 4 years, doing my videos and peddling my book. Is it frustrating when I, don't get the kind of immediate results that I was hoping for? You better believe it. Do I want to, take my book all over the world and have everybody read it? Damn right. So, if you're watching this and you like what I have to say and you think somebody else might enjoy it, feel free. Joy, like, subscribe, all that stuff. But, I'm not going to come on here and I just enjoy it so much, and I'm just going to keep doing it. And, I'm not letting that stop me, because I realized that, I'm compensated in other ways. And I've seen that happen over the past few years. I've seen my life, bear fruit in lots of ways that I hadn't expected when I started this journey. So I've been letting go a little bit of needing to control how things play out, and we'll just see, So anyway, is that good? You have anything else to say? That's good. Okay. So that's me. I'm going to have my leftover mac and cheese. And yeah, that's good for today. So have a great week, everybody. And hope everybody had a good Father's Day. And yeah, so go live this week. More cowbell, definitely more cowbell. Yeah, and I'll talk to you next week. Take care.